All right, let's see here. All right, are we up and running? We are up and running. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to be doing a little experiment here. It's something that I thought would be pretty cool that I've never really seen. I don't really want to do too much of an introduction here. Basically, we're going to be color correcting a scene from Gerard. You can see here it's titled Smoking Weed, so you can imagine, what's going to take place here. But we are going to be uh, going through every bit of this, so this is going to be a longer video. If you are worried about spoilers, don't watch this. I'll upload the like a quicker version later, and you can see kind of a sped up version of the color correction process, but this is going to be kind of exactly what I would do as I was approaching it. You can go from there, mix and match for your own projects. So before we get started, I wanted to just briefly discuss some of the tools that I'm using here. I do have a Wacom tablet. It's an older model. It's not really the newest version. And I also have a Logitech G13 gamepad, which I've used to place programmable macros. You can see here that it's got a bunch of different buttons here, and you can go through and you can actually program different macros. I have a bunch set up already. So I have my basic JK and L keys, in and out points, putting stuff on the timeline, that sort of thing. But we can get into it now. I have been doing a bit of this color correction already, so I've already kind of established a look that I'm going for this, and I've created a video effect color correction for it. I'm going to add it now. I've set this up. The way that I did this is I hit this Save Effects preset button here in Final Cut, and then I went into Final Cut under Commands, and I customized it to be a keyboard command. I think default video effect here, I have it set to Shift Command C, and then I've mapped that to a button on my gamepad here. So when I press it, adds this pop-up color. This is, very rough. It's obviously not exactly what I want, but you can see the basic construction here. I have the first layer of color correction. I've left the color empty so that I can actually go through and white balance each one of these. The exposure, I am boosting the highlights quite a bit because I just like the effect. I'm lowering the midtones, and I am bringing down the shadows just a touch. A little bit goes a long way with this. I'm kind of creating, I want a less real sort of look out of this because it features Gerard, who's an imaginary friend. I wanted it to kind of color everything that he says and does, so all of the effects in it are kind of colored by his imagination and sort of based around Gerard. We have a few different shape masks that we're using. I've been using it throughout, so you can see this one is um, just a circle. It makes it more orange. I have one orange and one blue. I've been just sort of changing it. I want to create sort of unusual vignettes, and I want them to be, um, you know, I want it to sort of pop. I don't want the same image that you would see in any other one where they basically just do the base color correction. They'll do the one layer and then maybe not these other layers. I want it to be sort of fantastical, I guess you could say, for this. But I have created these couple shape layers. This one's a blue layer. It blues and it darkens. So I'm kind of placing that to get that vignette that I want. And then I can go through and change the base color. I don't usually like to do base color without opening my scopes. That hotkey is Command 7. So that's going to open it up. You have a few different scopes here. You can see that it sort of shows you exactly what's in the image here. This is your red, your green, and your blue. Above this line, you've lost it. You've lost that color. So you can see if I take down my color correction here, I don't want to lose any highlights, but I do want them to be up there. So let's lower that a bit, maybe not that super bright. We also want to kind of bring up the highlights. You can see that I'm losing that. Yeah, see, I don't want too much of that. Looks like some of that is this, which I'm fine with. I'm going to add broadcast safe over the top of this when I'm done, so it shouldn't be too big a deal. But we're just kind of tweaking the image, getting it exactly the way that we want it to be, and then we'll, move on to the next clip, so on and so forth. This one appears to be a bit dark, so we'll first add our base correction there, which was that hotkey that we set up. Shift Command C, you could set it to be whatever you want. It'll save it in your video effects preset when you hit save preset. You can also do it at a smaller level. I also have presets when you get into these. There's another Gerard color correction here. You see, that's that orange color only, but I don't want that, so I'm going to undo that. But just as a, general guideline, that is something that you can do is, set it for each specific shape mask. So I could say, hey, I want to recall that orange color that's in mask 3, and then I can just bring that about whenever I want. Now I'm just sort of creating shapes. It doesn't have to be precise, really. It does have to match the other ones that I've done, so you want to kind of check in between them. Yeah, so this white is a little yellow in the highlights, so we're going to go into our first correction. Let's bring out some of that yellow. So the opposite of yellow is blue on the color map. You could do that, or you can bring it down. Same effect, really. I may even want to bring up the highlights a little bit more in this one to match, because they're pretty high in this one. So it's starting to match a lot better. But Gerard is still too blue. So what I want to do here, because we want to maintain that, that's something that people will definitely notice in between that one and this one, is that he got a lot more blue. I could potentially bring down the saturation in the low tones, which is sort of where Gerard is. Oh, yeah. Let's do midtones, possibly? No. And we are doing this live, so, it's going to be a long video, but we'll try some things out and see what we can get. Let's add another shape mask. So we're going to go back and we're going to take color correction 4, add a shape mask. Let's put it over Gerard here. Let's feather that out. This second ring is going to feather in between the first ring. The first ring is the actual effect, so that's it at its highest point. So we're going to go in there and we're just going to up the exposure just a bit. That's helping. That's helping. Okay, maybe bring that down a bit. Maybe right in there. Let's see. So it doesn't really move around too much, so I don't really need to... I don't think I need to put that mask in motion, but you can. We may end up doing that at some point here, but it's starting to look good. It is sort of bleeding a little bit more than I want it to. Let's tighten that in. Let's rotate it slightly. Okay. So, I mean, that's not too distracting to the eye. That's the main purpose of what we're doing here, is we want to make sure that nobody's distracted by what we're doing. That sort of brightens them up a little bit. Let's go into that same Gerard mask and let's bring down the saturation just for that. Yeah. That's bringing them in. Okay. So, in this scene, basically, it's 20 years after he imagined him, and Gerard has given him some weed in order to, I don't know, just as it's like a gift between the two of them. In another scene, Jared had gotten Gerard something. Gerard's the puppet. Jared is the guy that imagined the puppet, but he is loading a bowl of some stuff that he got off the internet. Then he smokes it, and he convulses, and he goes into shock or whatever. Gerard tries to get him going. He wakes up and he's speaking a different language. We're also going to do some titles for that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, this shot is exactly the same as this shot. So there's no need to recolor correct. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy that clip with Command C. I'm going to move over to the new clip, and I'm going to paste video attributes, which is Command Shift V. Command V would just create a copy. Command Shift V tells it to take these same sorts of things. Now all of these effects I want, I could also get the transform, crop, distortion, and spatial conform. I can just click all of it at the top. These videos are the same, so it doesn't matter. I typically will stick with only the things that I need, just because I don't want to have gotten pretty far into this process and not realize that I cropped pretty far on something or what have you, and not want that on this clip. So I'm just going to pull these three effects and paste them down so that lines up that one. I'm just trying to get a nice sort of poppy feel to it. This is a different clip, so we will go ahead and color correct this one. Let's add the base color correction there. That doesn't do that too many favors. Let's go into the correction, and we will bring this blue out a little bit. In this vectorscope here, or vectorscope, this line is skin tone. So you want your color correction to be going right up that line. You can see with it doing that, his skin tone is normal. You know, it's not super crazy. This blue is a little bit harsh, so I'm going to pull that back a little bit. Let's do this. Let's feather it. I want some of that, but I don't want it like super crazy. And let's rotate it slightly. Kind of creates a different shape. Looks more like it belongs there. which is what we want. And of course we want to make sure it still keeps looking right. Let's check this one. Let's bring that in. How's that looking? Is that doing me? Yeah, I like that. So it kind of creates a nice pocket, which is something I try and keep an eye on. You know, you want to see what existing light you have there. Now, when we lit this, we already had, if I take this all the way out, there's a light hitting that wall. So, you know, just adding a splash of color to it. I guess the orange that we used was a little weak, so that helps. You don't want to, like, I wouldn't want to put it somewhere where it just doesn't fit, you know, but getting a nice location there. Alright. That's looking good. And it doesn't really mess up too bad when he leans in. You do want to be careful of that. You don't want any undue color correction. That's looking good. You know, this is a little blue now. Let's take that out just a touch. No. Let's do that. Let's bring this up. Let's up our exposure a little bit more here, because you can see in these other clips that it's really sort of pronounced. So I want to make sure, yeah, that's still too blue. Let's take that, let's fit this here. Alright, let's take a little bit of that blue out. That's looking right. Okay. Alright, so this is the same. Oh, and these clips, you can see the different types here. This is a multicam clip, so I recorded this video with 4 cameras, and then you can look into each one of these. I synchronized it with the good audio that we had. We'll do audio at another thing maybe if you guys are interested, but you know, for right now we're just doing color correction because that's enough for this whole video. But so that's a multicam clip. This next clip that we're going to be doing, even though it's the same as this, I'm just going to copy this and go to that and paste that on top of it. But with this clip, it's a little bit different. This is an effects clip. So Gerard effects clip 35. Not sure what was supposed to happen with this, but you'll see those throughout. It looks like it's probably something that I just avoided doing, but surely there's another one here. Alright, so this one definitely has something. You can see in here, I've actually applied some rotoscoping. So if we make this invisible, you can see that there's a little piece of Kevin's hair there, so we didn't want that. So if you see those, that's generally speaking what that is. We just covered it with a little piece. Can't really tell it's there anymore. You know, it's nice. It's one less thing that would be distracting, so, you know, keep that in mind. That's probably what this was. But looks like right in there. With puppets, you can, I learned doing this movie that you can either build the set around them and, you know, make it super pristine, or you can spend a lot of time cutting out tiny little pieces of people, and it sucks. So You know, if you have the money, definitely spend it on building a set around them so that the puppeteers can be at a lower level than the other actors, but we didn't do that. It is what it is. So let's take this clip. We are just basically doing the same sorts of stuff. You want to kind of get a pretty good, pretty easy style to it. You don't want something that's going to be really hard to recreate. And you want it all to generally match. So we are making sure that we're keeping it all the same. Now you can see the light's different on this clip, so the color correction is different too. It's not the right one. Yeah. So the color correction is a little bit different too. So you want to make sure that you're checking these on every one. Because that last one was a lot, like, this here is a lot bluer than this one. So, you know, that's not doing that. So we want to find a way to bring out that same sort of color intensity, but without, let's go straight up. No. Alright, 216. So it's technically the same color, but just more intense. That's what I'm doing here. If you bring it straight up, not side to side or anything like that. You can also bring out some of the low tones. Might help. Bring those to that same 216. That's still not doing what I want. Look at this. There we go. That's sort of bringing it in, you know, a little bit less of it. You know, it sort of creates this line that you have here, which I like. It sort of follows the eye upward, which, you know, like, I feel like it sort of makes this invisible, because this is just an empty wall. I don't care about it. You know, if I were to turn this off, I keep getting these mixed up. So if I were to turn that off, you know, your eye sort of moves to this spot here, but just that sort of shadow, it draws it to where I want it, which is on Jared. Let's take out some of this. You also have the three different things. This is your shadows, midtones, and highlights. This is your global puck, is what they're called. Let's take globally. I think we want to bring down a little bit of that. Yeah, it's starting to look like he's the same person. Let's go over here. Let's bring up some of the midtones. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm liking that. Okay. So this is the same as these other clips here. Just copy that and paste the effect over the top. And we're just pasting the same for color corrections, although he does sort of lean out on this one, so we want to make sure that that leans with him. He does on this one too, but I don't mind it so much. But that creates a pretty definite line. Let's go into some keyframing here. So we want to start at the first part of this. We want to go to the mask that we actually want. There's a keyframe button right here. You just click that. And then we're going to actually place this where we want it to be, which is a little bit further over. So that you still got that same, that's probably not the best example of this. So you still got that same look. It doesn't look like the light changed, you know. So we want Yeah, and then when he pulls his head back, you can see, the little white part right there. You don't want that. So we are going to just move forward a frame or two. And when you make a correction like that, it's always looking for it. So when we change it again, it creates that other keyframe. You don't have to like keep going back and making sure it's all still up and working. You can kind of just go through. There are other programs that will do this, I'd say a little more effectively. I prefer Final Cut. Some people don't, but I don't mind doing it by hand. This is a pretty quick little okay. So here's what we have. Let's go to the beginning here. And let's play it. Now it looks a little weird. Okay, so let's press Control V to open up this window here. I'm going to zoom in and scroll up. So it's that right there. That's the problem. I want to delete that keyframe, which I just pressed delete. So it's got a smoother looks like I just put too many keyframes in here. You can overdo it. Alright, let's close that and let's watch this again. So there's a little bit at the end there, but because he's moving forward, but the light's not changing. So let's do a keyframe right there and just move this back just a smidgen. Yeah, this is going to be a long tutorial, guys. I apologize in advance, but okay, so gotten past that. Now this is the same scene, but I think this is new. We haven't seen this before. So he has done the drugs. He says, I can handle this. No, he can't. Put an Alka-Seltzer in his mouth, in case you're wondering how we got that. The mouth foam effect. But super simple. Took, like $1 or $2. I enjoy it. I don't know. Let's add the bass effect. So that doesn't help for this so much, but why don't we try doing some adjusting to it? So he falls down, and I don't want that. I don't want that blue one in his face. Let's a little bit of it. But it also sort of marks a different transitional piece here, so we could get away with it being slightly different, because, Who knows? I think it'll be alright. Let's take the color correction here. I guess there's probably a reason why people don't do these things. Why they don't show this all live. But, you know. I feel like, we made this for a pretty cheap amount in the grand scheme of things. There's just, I think that it's the perfect movie to try something like this on. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Alright, so this is coming together. I'll make a sped up version of this so that you guys can see it later. Let's add our base correction there. It's okay. We're kind of losing our lowlights a little bit. Looks like in his hair there is a lot more dynamic range in the low end than there is in the high end. So it's not like the image is lost. Now typically with highlights, it's very easy to lose them, and you can see it just gets pretty muddy pretty quick. We don't want that. So when you're filming, you want to protect your highlights so that when you get to this point, you don't have to worry about it. Let's bring down some of that yellow. It's not quite where I want that to be. Skin tones sort of matching. Gerard is... yeah, Gerard's matching too. You know. That's looking alright. Smoke laying over him. Let's see. Let's get a color correction. This orange mask here. Okay. So I like that, but this is looking a little pale. Why don't we drop this down a little bit further? So let's change the couch there. It's looking good, I like that. So this one, this is a new shot too. Let's add our base color correction on that. It's really not too far off from what I want, honestly. Blue in the midtones could be... yeah, that brings out that wall too much. It's looking right. You want to keep an eye on the things that people will notice changing. The wall color, that's something that you want to keep fairly consistent skin tone. With this one, I mean, this is not something you'd see normally, but Gerard is this very specific color. You know, it's that sort of baby bluish color. So we want to make sure to maintain exactly that, you know. This one's moving, but it's pretty similar to these close-up shots we were getting before. So I'm going to copy that and paste that over the top. And we're probably going to have to move some of these masks here. create a keyframe and move mask 4 into place, because that's definitely off. Let's go more on this side with it, because that'll match better with this one. And the blue, so it's going from that side to that side. So this blue should come in and this orange should come out. So let's keyframe those as well. Before we get too far into it, I always hate it when I get too far into it and then you have to do it all over again. And in terms of placement, let's put that there, and let's put not that one, this one here. Let's bring that in a touch. Rotate it slightly. Yeah, it looks much more right. Okay. So, now frame by frame, go and we will move these in. So, this one comes in a bit. And this shape mask 4 needs to be over his face. And then shape mask 3 needs to go a little bit outward. Fairly boring stuff, really, in the grand scheme of things, but pretty awesome once it's done. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time keeping these masks straight, but okay, so another thing to keep in mind, this right here is one frame. So it'll kind of tell you as you go, hey, you moved one frame over. Let's move that. Let's move this one. And these are pretty subtle color corrections, so if you're worried about people seeing them, they probably won't. If they do, they're probably not going to see all of them that are in the movie. Like I said, that's sort of the style that I'm going for here on this one. Is a very unorthodox style, I guess you could say. I mean, I did this movie so that I could learn some things and get better at what I do. So, you know, it all helps towards that. And if you guys are wanting to learn more of the basics and like the actual like nuts and bolts of what I'm doing here, I would also recommend lynda.com. Does some great online tutorials. I went through and did close to 100 hours of the online stuff that they did in a bunch of different things. I did Final Cut, I did Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Logic, Motion, you know, that whole yarn. They're pretty great. I would definitely recommend that if that's something that you're into. You see those overlapping snow? Wait, no. It's kind of interesting the way that it happens, though. make this look like it's the real thing, you know. Like it actually, like you're looking that way and it's getting worse and worse, I guess. Or, you know, if there was a blue light on there, hypothetically, you want to make sure that, you know, you can do it. You also don't want it to interfere with your other masks, but, you know, that's the effect we're trying to pull off here, so you want to keep that in mind. I guess more often than not, you'd probably hear somebody say something to the effect of, like, this is where editing comes into play, and we're going to fast forward through all of this. That's one thing I wanted to avoid with this. I wanted to be... I've never seen one quite like this, you know. So I wanted to kind of bring that to it, you know. There's only so many opportunities you get to do something like this. Alright, and let's see how that looks. Let's start a little bit earlier. So... let's take a look at that. Let's get some of these keyframes. It's really easy to add too many. I probably don't need these here. It's looking a little better. Yeah, that works. I mean, this shot is 1 second, so, you know, a little perspective there. So this one is another one of those clips. Let's see what this has got in it. So, I guess it's 3 layers on this one. Yeah, little finger there. A little spot on his... So there's the original footage. Yep. This is what it is. Okay. So we had something pretty similar to this before, I thought. That looks pretty close. Let's copy that. Let's paste this on top and see what we get. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a little blue. It's a little dry there. Let's check the color balance on this. There we go. There we go. this is exactly the same, so it's sort of before and after. Let's copy that and paste that over there. I thought we had already done that angle too, but we haven't. Okay. So this is also an effect. Set down again, and so he drank too much water the first take and just lost his shit there. But I mean, the Alka-Seltzer looks alright. Okay. Let's get this going. Let's add our base color correction, which I don't hate. But it's not, it's a lot of this. You will have a base correction going, and you'll want to, just go with it. But a lot of times it just doesn't. It's not that cookie cutter. I mean, it is to an extent, but a lot of it is movement, and especially in a scene like this where a lot of things are taking place. Or not taking place, but things are changing here. He's kind of gone from being on that side of the couch to now being over here. You still need to keep that same style throughout. You just want to be able to, keep it all consistent. So let's see here. I don't really like that line. Let's adjust this so that it's... I feel like if it's going to be there, it should be based on existing stuff. So instead of being right, like splitting it, kind of bring it in so that it fades into it. It's pretty sweet. So this is a new shot. Let's add our color correction. Can't really tell there. We are losing some of these highlights, or lowlights rather. And we've got quite a bit of room on the upside. So let's raise that a bit. Get that same sort of pop. Raise that so you can see his hair. Let's change this color. That looks a little bit better. Let's take... This isn't doing anything for me, really. Let's see. Not every second needs to be a masterpiece either, but you want to do your due diligence. It'll make a world of difference, really. That's way dark. Yeah, and then add that correction on top. Doesn't really get you where you need to be. Let's bring up those midtones. Now you want to be careful, because you go up too high, you can start seeing, noise in the image. You don't want that here. Especially if you zoom in, you can start seeing it. See that aberrations a little bit. Certainly matches better, but still not quite there. Okay, so that's good there. This one we've already done. It's a lot of repetitive stuff here, but it's a lot of patience involved. Once you get to a point where you've gotten most of the other... I never took out... I have to take out that puddle. Which I will show you how I did that now. So, like, that's an obnoxious, we don't want that. So let's take this and we will, he's moving and stuff. Okay, let's make a new compound clip, which, if you don't know the hotkey, is Option G. I've already got a hotkey set up, but let's call this After Effects. I don't know what number I'm on. I think it's over 115. Let's do 118. Save that. So what a compound clip does is it contains other clips. So anything that I put in here is going to read just exactly like what this is. So I can just option drag this up, and I am going to create a mask around this thing specifically, which I'm going to use the masking tool, which is under Effects and Masks, Draw Mask tool, which was added in 10.2.3, which is pretty phenomenal. Really enjoyed that addition. It really separates the rest of it for me. Let's give us as much space as we can get here. Let's close our video scopes and let's zoom out just a smidgen. Let's close that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do... So you'll see click to add control point. You're just going to go through. I'm just kind of eyeballing this at first. It doesn't move that much, but we do need to have enough points that we can move it. I'm just using straight linear points for this. You can use Bezier if you so chose. You'd find that in your effects browser, which is over here. You just change the draw mask shape from linear to, have the different ones. B-spine is another one. I'm using linear just because it's just quicker for me. Okay. So now that we've created a mask around that shape, I can go into color correction on this mask specifically, and I can, let's raise this up. Alright, so it's the same color, it just, so I need to refine the mask. So the best way I've found to do this is to put it underneath. When you have it highlighted and you've selected the draw mask tool here, it's going to allow you to kind of see it but not have to worry too much about it, if that makes sense. Let's do that, and let's go down there. Alright, so let's better define this mask here. And, alright, so that helped me see it a little bit, but let's feather it inward. So you have your feather here, in the middle is the outside. Or we can go, so you can go outside or inside here. Let's do just a little bit inside. Let's see what that looks like. It's okay. Let's feather out a bit more. The more refining you do for these things, the better it's going to be for you. Now, since I feathered it in a little bit, you can be a little bit outside of the thing, and you shouldn't get a line. Still getting a little bit. It's a lot less noticeable. We're also zoomed in, so it's going to have an effect. So let's go. There we are. So again, it just sort of draws the eye upward, I'm not trying to do anything crazy. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Shot is 4 seconds, so, it'll be okay. Alright, so, let's see. This is the same as this. So I'm going to copy that. Paste that effect over there. This one's too dark. I'm going to be going back and checking these every time. It's much harder to change later than it is right now. This one's too light. There we go. All right, so here we are now. He's come to. We also get our first title, so I want to do something crazy with that. Ladder. That's actually not terrible. Doesn't match. It's not too far off. Let's get, let's bring some of this yellow down. And let's, I don't mind that blue. Let's get the orange back. No, you know, it's because that blue is predominantly in the low end. I don't think that I need to move it on this one. On the other one, it was pretty obvious because, you know, you're moving a little bit. This one still looks like a consistent color. The other one, however, this one here, I probably want to do something with. Let's bring that down. No. Let's bring that right there. All right. Thank you guys for staying with me. We are an hour in, and we've got a long way to go. Tell you what, we'll get past this part to this scene, and then we'll call this. So we're about halfway. Titles. Now, I love me some titles. So this title needs to be good for here and for right here. Have just a very basic title. But who wants that? Let's do something big. Let's do something great. Text. You want something that you can read. Aw. This happens sometimes. I was kind of wondering if it was going to do this or not. This is pretty hard on it, I guess. You know, color correction in general is hard on computers, and then you add in screen recording and, you know, all that other stuff. Come on, Final Cut. Well, it appears as though Final Cut has failed. Why don't we cut and go to another take after that?
Something good, Gerard. Something good.